I've had a very interesting journey of my life. Um, I was born in England, and I happen to be the son of a diplomat who was an ambassador to 14 countries. I had the privilege, because of my connection with my father, to have lived all over the world in different parts. It's one thing to visit a country as a tourist and find everything very hunky-dory, and it's another thing to live in that country. And so I was exposed to many different cultures and many different um, uh, forms of music, people, ideologies. And then I was packed off to boarding school. I studied at Rugby, and from Rugby I went to University of London. And from University of London I did my bachelor's, I did my LLB, because I guess my father didn't have much faith in my music. So he said that you need to have a backup plan. So I did LLB, and from there I went to Lincoln's Inn, and I became a barrister at law. After I completed that, I said to him, I said, look, I've done my part of the deal. Now let me pursue music. Of course, throughout this period, he was consistently supportive of my talent and my music, and he encouraged me in every form. I mean, when I wanted to even learn Indian classical music, he opened the doors for me, and I had the privilege of learning Indian classical music from Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma ji, who's my guru. And then I started playing music, and that's how my romance with India started to take place. I came in 1999 for the first time because Asha Bhosle ji had invited me to come and produce an album for her. That album actually never really ever happened, but we had already recorded something in London, and I had the master tape of that, and I played it to a couple of labels, and that's when my first piece of music was released in India in the form of Kabhi To Nazar Milao, followed by Bhigi Bhigi Raaton Mein and Lift Kara De and so on and so forth. And that's when my romance with India started. As I got more and more love and appreciation, I was drawn more and more towards the people of this wonderful country. I had studied about it because I was fascinated by Indian history, especially around the time of partition. I was very inquisitive as a teenager to understand what was the circumstances that led to it. And therefore, I studied a lot about Gandhiji, and I did my history paper on Gandhiji. And on a side note, there was a fancy dress that took place at that time. I was many more kilos. And so, for some reason, I felt that I could pass off myself as Gandhiji. And so there was this big bubble dressed up in a dhoti, and I couldn't even keep the cloth together. And I put this plaster on my head and two round glasses, and I was getting offended when people were asking me, who are you? And I was like, can't you see I'm Gandhiji? Little did I know that I looked anything but. But that was my fascination from childhood. As I became more and more drawn towards India, I wanted to get myself a permanent home here. I wanted to become an Indian, because I've never felt more at home anywhere else in the world than I did over here. And it was primarily because of the people. I asked my father, I said, do you have any objections if I become an Indian? Because my father, once upon a time, was also briefly in the Air Force. And then, like I said, he was a career diplomat. He had served right till foreign secretary. He turned around to me and said, Beta, they have loved you. They've embraced you. They've given you respect. I have lived my life. You live your life and you owe it to them to swear your allegiance to them because that's what they've done to you. And so I had his blessings. And then the process started of getting myself the Indian citizenship. That was a journey on its own. And after that, I was rejected twice. But I didn't give up because I was hell-bent upon acquiring my citizenship. And I have been privileged enough to see both sides of the border very closely. And because my father, apart from being, as I said, ambassador to 14 countries, he was also ADC to 3 presidents, General Ayub Khan, Field Marshal Ayub, General Yahya, and President Bhutto. And he was also chief of protocol to 8 prime ministers and presidents. So I have seen things very closely and have been privy to many, many things, which some of them were nice and many of them were also not very pleasant. So I knew as an adult how to evaluate my ideals and where I stood. And finally, after a tremendous amount of struggle and wait, I was blessed with in my Indian citizenship on the 1st of January 2016 by the present government. And I need to address a very important thing here because, कभी-कभी क्या होता है कि लोग अक्सर घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर ये कहावत तो सुनी होगी. I want to explain something, and that is that you need to understand that being an artist and being a person who has lived all his life abroad, I had the access and ability to choose literally any country of the world where I could have been a citizen, in the sense that I was born in England, I could have become a British citizen, I could have become, my wife is German, I could have become a German citizen, I've got family in the US, I could have become a US citizen, Canadian citizen also because I've got family there. Why did I choose India? Apart from the food. No, that's an important thing, is because of the rich heritage, the deep-rooted civilization, the culture, the exercising of that culture even today. And also a very important thing which a lot of people take sometimes for granted or don't even take it into consideration, and that is the family unit. This is a very important part of our society which a lot of people sometimes take for granted because, in the West, there is a fair amount of breakdown of the family unit. I have seen that, post 18 years of age, for example, many times they'll say, right, you're on your own, we've done our bit. And then after that, they leave their houses and they start making their own life, which has its own advantages. I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that. And then when the parents become old, sometimes what happens is that many a times they're just left alone or they're put into old homes or whatever, senior homes. Whereas in this culture, one thing that is very much alive and thankfully and vibrant is the family unit. The children are never said, get out of the house, you're 18, go and make your own life. The house is always open to the family. The house is your central base. And the family unit is always together to support and be part of each other's lives. The respect that there is for all different cultures, religions. For example, Whenever there is, for example, when there's Eid, it's a national holiday. Everybody celebrates it. Similarly, if it's Diwali, same thing. It's a holiday. It's celebrated across. Same thing if it's Christmas. It's celebrated across. Whereas in the West, for example, in the United States, Islam is the one of the second largest religions in that country. When there's Eid, if I call up one of my relatives and wish them Eid Mubarak, and ask them, what are you doing today? And they'll turn around and say, well, it's a working day for us and there's nothing different. We'll probably do something over the weekend. That is the level of respect for other religions and other holidays or whatever you want to call it. That doesn't exist here. Over here, my Hindu friend is going to say to me, where's the biryani? I want the biryani. And I will turn around to my Hindu friend and say, where's my Diwali's mithai? And that's how we integrate with each other and how we love to celebrate each other's religions, and we coexist in love and harmony. That to me is the most beautiful thing over here. And the diversity. If you go northeast, it's a different world altogether. You go to the south, different world. You go to Punjab, you go to Bengal, you go to Kerala. I mean, you go to Maharashtra. I mean, such amazing different types of cultures, for example, and how they manage to coexist. If you go to Arunachal Pradesh, for example, you feel as if you've gone to a different world altogether, and yet it is a part of India. And you feel proud that this is also part of India. And these are things that we should somehow not forget, because the grass is always going to be greener on the other side. But you need to really see that grass closely. It might look very attractive from the distance, and you start. I don't like this concept of people aping the West just because they think that it's cool. It's not cool. The West is coming to India for a very important thing that is beginning to diminish over there with time, and that is soul. People are becoming very, very cold in their mannerisms over there. That's why a lot of people come from the West to India to soul search, to find themselves, to find the deeper meaning of life, whether it is a Steve Jobs, whether it's the Beatles, and countless other people, whether it was Obama, President Obama. So these are things that are worth celebrating and being proud of, rather than us turning around and saying, oh, you know what, that's cool, I'm going to adopt that over here. I'm going to do this, I want to do that. No, you don't need to do anything. Everybody's coming over here to find more deeper meaning to life. And we have more deeper meaning in life because it's such a deep-rooted civilization with such history. I mean, America might be great, and I love America, don't get me wrong, but how much of a history does it have? Hardly anything. I mean, it's a kid in front of India. And technology is a great thing, but soul is greater. And that's the difference. And so therefore, I just want to end by saying that whatever India is turning into at present with this reinvention of self-pride, of who we are and what we represent, and to be proud of that without unnecessarily allowing outside influence. We've got enough of our beautiful points to be proud of. Let's hold on to that, let's be proud of that, and I just love the direction that it's taking.